Subtle Asian Traits is a Facebook group with over 1.5 million members from across the globe who share common experiences of being second-generation Asian immigrants. We argue that in the same way ethnic enclaves exist in the physical, there is evidence that to a certain extent they also exist in the realm of the online. It is particularly pertinent in globalized cities that Asian diaspora can also be represented online. Ethnic enclaves is traditionally a term used to describe the congregation of migrant people of the same ethnicity. These enclaves exist to protect their ethnic communities, not necessarily embraced or supported in mainstream society. The act of migration is itself a process of creating and negotiating boundaries across other groups, which is essentially at the heart of migrant identity. The notion of identity becomes questioned. This question of identity becomes relevant in the context of Asian migrants, as it is often the second generation who experience difficulties with their identity the most and struggle with a sense of belonging to a greater collective. There exists an in-between, or the too white to be Asian but too Asian to be white discourse. This hybrid of two cultures has now become an entirely separate culture. This culture is shared through subtle Asian traits.
I'm born and raised in London, but ethnically I'm half Taiwanese and half Hong Kong. If I'm in the UK, I may not be treated as someone who is a British person when I have British nationality. Yes, I consider myself to be British. However, if I'm back in my homeland, so if I'm in Taiwan or Hong Kong, they will see me as a foreigner as well. So where exactly do I fit in?
Hong Kong is politically a very weird situation where there were Chinese, but they weren't really. So in terms of culture, I never felt like I was Chinese. And because I moved away from Hong Kong when I was 7, I never felt like I was Cantonese either. So naturally, I felt like being in this international group made sense to me.
At first, I kind of had this mindset, which was if I was white, maybe I'd have more friends or I'd be more popular.
It was weird, but I was ashamed of my own culture. So it was kind of it dragged me away from my own Asian community to the point where I actually didn't want to be part of it. I try to get rid of that internalized racism, but it's almost so internalized that it's automatic to you and the way you think.
I didn't grow up with Vietnamese and there weren't many Chinese around. And then with the subtle Asian traits, they had memes that relate more to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After joining the group, it makes you realize that there are so many people out there who have a similar train of thought, who experience these issues and how they dealt with it. And it's a community of like-minded people. Everyone around the world who is a Western-born Asian person experiences these. It's made me definitely proud to be of Chinese descent, be Asian, own my Asian identity and my Asian heritage.
I do quite like this group in the beginning because it reminds me of lots of things growing up, but towards the end lots of content gets quite repetitive.
At the beginning they were more niche and it was also very new.
Having this community, this online community, I share lots of things about other Asian races and also the common things we all have.
It does promote some kind of exclusivity.
It unites, but then it also essentializes, and then there's also these internal problems that comes with it. The source of this problem is that we have hierarchies and we have cultural prejudice, if you don't have this group showing you these problems still exist.
The group further promotes exclusivity, with members requiring an invitation into the group by an existing member. This further highlights the boundaries in place separating the group from the rest of mainstream society and retains the purity of the ethnic enclave. However, as within the physical, hierarchies within the group exist, and while the group unites those with shared experiences, it also essentializes them and highlights that prejudices remain and problems do exist. A further critique of the existence of this ethnic enclave is that there is a possibility that many people may simply lose interest and remove themselves from the group, which one can simply do given its online nature. This provides a point of comparison between the online and the physical. Therefore, in the same way that ethnic enclaves are an attempt to retain ethnicity and culture, Subtle Asian Traits does just this, however in the context of a new global culture associated with the migration of Asian migrants to Western countries. Subtle Asian Traits is to a greater extent a tool in finding one's identity in the context of collective migration of many cultures.